Alright, hey guys, Fiddle Fair here, and back with a new episode of No One But You. And so we had a nice little moment with Shinatsu the night before, and so let's go ahead and just plug right along. Finally having the chance to meet with Shinatsu, I slept well as the rest of the night passed by peacefully. We talked for a while, chatting randomly about stars, the hot springs, and anything else that came to mind. And when Shinatsu started yawning, we both called it a night, returning to our separate rooms. I'm glad I was able to meet up with Shinatsu. For a while there, I thought we'd be separated the entire trip. Luckily, thanks to a mistake on her part, we were able to spend some alone time together, unimpeded by our other friends. We should definitely find the time to do that again. With those thoughts in my mind, the rest of the morning proceeded without issue, or fun. One of the teachers took us to some historical place and started telling us about it, because that's what teachers do. I obviously wasn't listening, nor were most of the other students from what I could gather. Nonetheless, his speech dragged on, and before I knew it, noon had come and gone. Man, what a sucky trip. I only had time for one short dip in the hot springs this morning, thanks to that teacher of ours. I actually spent more time pretending to listen to him blather on than I did in the hot springs. Sure, the trip had its ups and downs, but if I tried to quantify it, this trip was a disappointment. Despite my pessimistic thoughts, brought on by our teacher's compulsion to teach, I'd be lying if I said the trip was a complete waste. Memories of the past. Ooh. Do I click? I'll click. The only upside of this whole trip was getting to speak with Shinatsu, and with the trip now coming to an end, that may remain the high point. Not that it's a bad thing, of course. There's nothing wrong with enjoying spending time with friends. Nonetheless, for such a rare trip to pass by so quickly and without incident, I do feel like I missed out on something here. It didn't seem happy at all. After packing our things and regretfully leaving the resort, the bus ride back to Okutama proved uneventful. The bus was mostly quiet, with students no doubt tired from the trip, making our return much more pleasant. Furthermore, with Yoro nowhere to be found, and Megami too tired to cause a fuss, I was even able to get some sleep. Thanks to that, although many hours had passed, the bus ride felt like it had ended in a matter of minutes, and I woke up refreshed and ready to walk home. Rather than return straight home, I decided to pass by Shinatsu's bridge, spurred by our late-night rendezvous the previous night. I hadn't expected to see Shinatsu there, of course. Like everyone else from school, she should have gone straight home. And yet, the moment I arrived at the bridge... Oh, she's changed into a different outfit. Now, I mean, obviously, I've gathered long ago that something's wrong here. Something with Shinatsu doesn't seem to make sense. It's off. But I feel like we might be getting closer at this point to finding out exactly what's happening here, even though I have my guesses. There she was. I should have known she'd be here. How many times have I met her on this bridge anyway? I can't even remember. I feel like it's quickly becoming routine. Shinatsu's presence on this very bridge seems to be becoming a permanent fixture of Okutama, just like the trees, or the houses, or the street lamps. Hey there, Shinatsu. Shinatsu turned around, brushing a few strands of hair out of her eyes as she did, and offered me a smile of her own. Hello there, Hideki-kun. Not displaying any surprise at all, Shinatsu casually returned my greeting, almost as though she had been expecting me. I don't know how, but Shinatsu's greetings always make me feel like she's been waiting for me. You're standing by the bridge again, huh? It may seem like a silly statement, but I am kind of curious about it. Most students who head home after a trip like that, but not us two, apparently. Yes, well, it's kind of nostalgic, I suppose. Nostalgic? Did you come here a lot when you were younger? Not particularly. Honestly, I just like the sound of the running water. Shinatsu smiled sheepishly, playing with her hair as she spoke. Though my parents would probably find that statement morbid. Morbid? What do you mean? Though running water can be beautiful, it can also be dangerous. I should know better than anybody, really, but it doesn't stop me from coming back here. I see, but didn't you say you were a good swimmer? That's right. I'm glad you remembered that, Hideki-kun. It's not a big deal. Shinatsu only seemed to be interested in reading and swimming, so it wasn't hard to remember. You know, Shinatsu Shinatsu looked up at me from beneath her eyelashes. She blinked shyly as she tried to find the words, displaying an unbelievably cute side of herself. I've been wondering something. I have my own reasons for standing by this bridge, but why do you so often come to spend time here? Wow. It's such a serious line, and I messed it up. I tried so hard. Why do you so often come to spend time with me here? Don't you find it boring? I suppose it is kind of strange for two teenagers to always just stand around on a bridge like this. Of course not. I found it boring. I wouldn't keep coming back here. But I thought, maybe you were coming out here out of obligation because I'm always on my own. When you say obligation, do you mean to those chocolates girls always give to guys when they don't really like on Valentine's Day? Yes, exactly like that. That was my Skype, guys. I'm sorry. Well, you don't need... Oh, I gotta go shut it off. We're back. Well, you don't need to worry. I don't consider spending time with you to be a chore. In fact, I actually enjoy it. I'm glad to hear that. I was frightened that I may be becoming a burden to you. Why would you think that? She's the one burdening me. I'm the one who's always bothering Shinatsu, forcing myself on her. I don't know. I just feel that you're such a nice person, Hideki. You're the sort of person who would sacrifice their free time for the sake of others, even if you didn't enjoy it. How odd. I never thought Shinatsu's self-esteem was this poor. Then again, I don't actually know that much about Shinatsu, despite the number of times we've spoken. You aren't a burden, silly. Aren't we supposed to be friends? Friends? Shinatsu repeated the words slowly, holding her hands to her chest. It took a few moments for it to finally sink in, but once it did, thank you, Hideki. I'm very flattered that you think of me as a friend. To be honest, I don't have many of them. I can't think why not. You're good company, Shinatsu. And pretty. But I know better than to say that out loud. Heck, I'm getting flustered just thinking about it. I don't think I've met a person like you before. When I'm with you, I feel like all my worries start to melt away. You're flattering me. I'm not really that special. Maybe not, but in the grand scheme of things. But so what? I'm not that special either. Most people aren't. And the people in this world who are special, like my mother, are actually kind of hard to deal with. I still haven't forgiven her for taking me skydiving back then. Shinatsu giggled, holding one hand to her mouth. Your mother sounds very interesting. She is, and it can be pretty entertaining. But seriously, at that time, I really thought I was gonna die. If nothing else, that skydiving escapade taught me the value of life, the value of my own life. Well, I'm okay with not being special. I've never been one to seek the limelight. I don't need to be recognized by a lot of people. I just want my existence to be recognized by at least one person. Just one person? What is that supposed to mean? Has Shinatsu never felt close to anybody? What about her friends, teachers, or even her parents? Maybe it's because she's so quiet that she sinks into the background and other people don't notice her. I don't think that's it, mate. I don't think that's the reason. But even if Shinatsu says she's okay with it, I can't believe her. After all, how can people, including extreme introverts, are truly content with leading such isolated lives? In reality, I think Shinatsu does want someone by her side, somebody to talk to confide in. And if that really is the case, then I'll be glad if that person is me. I'm happy that I met you, Hideki. I really am. I couldn't think of a better friend to have. I open my mouth to respond, but no words come out. I can feel my cheeks heating up as I stared at Shinatsu, wondering about what she just said. Was that a confession? Maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but Shinatsu's voice is so soft and her cheeks are flushed a light pink. I can't help but wonder. Is her heart pounding just as much as mine? I realize myself that I, like Shinatsu, I like her a lot. That's why I keep returning to this bridge, drawn like an iron filing to a magnet. Shinatsu and I never talk about anything in particularly riveting, both being decidedly unspecial in our own ways. But I wouldn't waste those moments of idle conversation I've spent with Shinatsu for the world. I like being with Shinatsu because I like her. This might be a bit too early, especially given how Shinatsu is so shy, but I need to tell her how I feel. These emotions have been building up within me for a while now, and I don't think I can keep them to myself anymore. My heart just can't take it anymore. Shinatsu, I've swallowed my saliva, trying to wet my dry throat. I don't know if I'll be able to confess to her verbally, but a physical gesture should be good enough, right? I'm not going to kiss her. That would be going too far too sudden. But maybe if I could just hold her hand. That's not too forward, is it? I reach out, my fingertips twitching in the cold. Shinatsu was so close, staring at me with wide eyes, blushing just as much as I was. My fingers drew closer to her, my right hand, until finally, oh no, please don't pass through her! Please don't pass through her! Ah! Shinatsu suddenly let out a breathy exclamation that made me jump. She retracted. Oh, damn, I knew it. I knew it! No! She retracted her hand and held it to her chest, staring at me in disbelief. Was that too forward after all? I'm sorry, Hideki, but I have to go now. Oh, she won't let us touch her. No. Oh, God. This is going to be heartbreaking, isn't it? Without another word, Shinatsu turned around and left. Shinatsu, wait! I called out to her, reaching out my hand. But as I did, I realized that I had no plan. What am I doing? It's not like I can physically restrain her. And if casual contact was too much for her, what would Shinatsu think about me suddenly grabbing her wrist? Not that it matters now anyway. She's already gone. I leaned back against the steel rails of the bridge, relaxing my arms by my sides. That expression on Shinatsu's face, I don't think I'll ever forget it. She didn't just look surprised. Shinatsu looked horrified, as though I were a predator. Was it because of what I did? Did I really go too far? As I pondered my actions, I thought back to a manga that I'd read in the past. It was a story about a shy girl so terrified of the opposite sex that she fainted as soon as a boy touched her. Could Shinatsu have a similar fear? No, of course not. That's just absurd. Things like that only happen in manga. Besides, if Shinatsu was afraid of me, she wouldn't have spoken to me so freely, especially not in the hot springs. But in that case, why did she look so deathly afraid of me? Maybe I misread the atmosphere? Perhaps Shinatsu doesn't like me after all. Oh boy, guys. It's not gonna end well. As I stared at the ceiling, trying to fall asleep, I kept replaying the moment on the bridge over and over. The look on Shinatsu's face, the utter fear in her eyes, her lips parted as though she was about to scream. I just don't get it. Was it really so wrong just to want to hold her hand? Oh, I have a bad feeling. 53 days later? What? Summer break went by slowly, almost like a dream. I spent my days in relative isolation, cursing myself for the mistake which cost me my summer full of fond memories. Every day I thought about Shinatsu. I thought about what transpired between us, what I could do to make things right. But no matter how much I thought about it, no matter how many times I visited the bridge, there was no sign of her. As I grew increasingly desperate, I considered my options. Unfortunately, I couldn't call a girl with a mobile phone, nor could I simply show up on her doorstep. No matter what plan came to mind, it all seemed to be for naught. I couldn't believe she avoided me the entire summer break. But with school resuming today, we're bound to see each other again, even if it's only for a moment. After such an isolated break, I craved the mere sight of Shinatsu. I did my best to keep the situation to myself, not telling a soul about what had happened. In doing so, I ignored my friends. But even then, I couldn't tell them. What happened between Shinatsu and I felt private, like an argument between lovers. Shinatsu and I, lovers. I'm not even sure if our pointless conversations amount to us being friends. After all, if we really were friends, surely Shinatsu would have given me an explanation for her sudden disappearance. As things are, I can only assume that she's trying to avoid me, and that thought hurts. Oh, this is depressing, guys. This is really depressing. Hidi, are you okay? I gripped my chopsticks, my fingers trembling, still unable to stop thinking about Shinatsu. Hideki! Earthu Hidi! Just what is she doing? Is she having breakfast with her family too? I wonder if she's thinking about me. Probably not. Oh, this is so depressing! Hidi, are you listening to me? Ah! I jumped up, my eyes wide open. My mother was leaning across the dining table, peering at me with wide eyes. We're so close that our nose almost bump. I must have really been spacing out not to notice something like that. I shuffled back in my chair and then looked at my legs, my face flushed. Honestly, you shouldn't get that close, it's weird. Weird? How is it weird? I'm your mother, Hidi. I gave birth to you. And we were a lot closer in the past, you know. It feels like only yesterday that you came, that your breakfast came from Mommy's. Whoa. I get it already. Honestly, what's with this mother of mine? I was already hesitating to eat, but did she think the mental image of her, of her giving birth to me would make me feel better? Mom, please, can you not bring up that kind of stuff while we're eating? I know you gave birth to me, but you don't need to remind me. Well, I just thought I should remind you in case you forgot. Forgot? How could I forget something like that? I don't know. You've been acting kind of distant lately. I thought maybe you'd forgotten all about your sad, lonely mother. Ugh, an early morning guilt trip. That's the last thing I need. While pouting, my mother sat back down on her side of the table. Why can't a mother worry about her son anyway? It isn't weird. It's only natural that I fuss over you, Hidi, given how desperate you've looked lately. But be that as it may, you don't need to get in my face like that. I can't eat when you're all over me like that. Oh, please, like you were eating your food anyway. I winced and gripped my chopsticks more tightly. She's got me there. I've only taken a few bites of my food, and even then I hardly tasted it. Hidi, what's wrong? You've been acting so glum. It's nothing. Maybe it's just the heat. Is it true? It is true that it's been hot lately, but why did you spend so little of your summer break outside? You should have been playing with your friends, going out to the pool, or somewhere with air conditioning. When I was younger, I filled my summer times with excitement, festivals, fireworks, fishing, trips to the beach, watermelon smashing, kicking cans. Nobody kicks cans nowadays, Mom. The 70s are over. Right. Now you have all those video game consoles and touchscreens, right? That's right. So there's no need to hang around in the streets at night. Get bitten by... I'm just going to say mosquitoes because that's easier. Mosquitoes. Or kick empty cans for fun. In fact, I can't think of anything I would enjoy less. Be that as it may, Mr. Grumpy, you should find something fun to do. You have been wasting your summer break, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't find some way to enjoy your school time. I know that, Mom. I'm not in the mood. I just can't stop thinking about Shinatsu. I'm not entirely sure why I'm so devoted, given that the two of us aren't overly familiar, but I do consider her our precious friend. Maybe even something more. Either way, right now, I just feel dejected and lonely. Oh, silly Hidi. My mother once again leaned across... My mother once again leaned across the table, almost knocking over a bottle of ketchup as she did, and ruffled my hair. Hey, knock that off. I'm not a kid anymore. You might not be a kid, but you're still my kid, and I worry about you. Ruffle, ruffle. You have to get out there, Hidi. Seize the day. You mean... What? Whatever, either one. Only one of them is right. It's sad seeing you soak around the house like this. You should go and do something wild, something exciting. On a school day? Shouldn't you have made that point a week ago? Irrelevant. You only live once. Wow. Hidi, seize the day. These palpitudes all sound very impressive when my mother says them, but that's all they are. Palpitudes. Just inspirational blips of sound, devoid of any real meaning. In my mother's case, however, I know that she means them. My mom might not be the best cook, and she can be a little ditzy, but she's always earnest and sincere. Thinking like that, I can't help but feel guilty. Am I letting her down, whiling away my youth at her home? But even if I am, I can't help it. I don't want to go to festivals like fireworks, split watermelons at the beach, or kick cans in the street. I just want to talk to Shinatsu. So sad. Despite my mother's efforts to cheer me up, I continued to sulk as the next stage of my morning began. Dressed, fed, and ready for school, I automatically headed to the bridge, a trip I had made countless times over break. As I subconsciously began to walk there, my pace slowed and my resolve dropped. Do I really want to see Shinatsu again? I barely know the girl, and ever since our last encounter, her existence has caused me nothing but pain. On the other hand, I'm never going to get anywhere if I give up all hope. Perhaps there's a perfectly good reason why I didn't see her all summer. Shinatsu could have had vacation somewhere with her parents and forgot to tell me, or purposely chose not to, after what transpired between us. I ran through several scenarios in my head, assuring myself that Shinatsu had a legitimate reason for vanishing over the break. Whatever the case, now that school started up again, I should finally get to see her again. Even if I don't see her by the bridge, I can always seek her out in the club room. And when I do... what then? I'm still not entirely sure what I did wrong back then, but maybe I should open with an apology. I owe Shinatsu at least that much. After that, maybe we could put whatever happened in the past behind us, and we can just become friends again. Because right now, there's nothing I want more than that. Okay, I was hoping we stopped at the bridge, but we didn't, and now we're back at school, and I think we're going to go ahead and stop there. But anyway, guys, I don't know, guys. It's interesting. I have a feeling we're in for feels ahead, but I guess we'll find out. But anyway, guys, I've been Fiddle Fair, and I will see you back on the prowl next time. Bye-bye.